all the moves that he needs right now. So you know what? Everything's going good for me. You know, nothing bad has happened. And then Grum was able to take on everything. I went, okay. Then I went and did a few more dens, gave Grum more levels. Yeah, by the time, like, I ended up sweeping everything with Grum after the 3rd gym. Only by, I think... Was it the 3rd gym? Or was it the 4th? No, it was the 8th, because that's the one with the whole double battle situation. Yes, it was the 8th gym. Now I remember. So by the time so all the time I was pretty much just using Grum for everything. Grum defeated the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and then by the time it was the 8th, you had to have another Pokemon. Now at this point, I was training up Hatterene. I'm trying to remember what its lower form was called, but I ended up getting it right when you're supposed to, so I went perfect. So I'm like, okay, I think this thing's a fairy, and when I looked at its typing, it was a fairy, and I went perfect. I might need you later on. Something told me that something was going to have, or something was going to, I'm going to need it specifically just to do something like this. So, okay. So now that I have a fairy, I can be able to take on the 8th gym. But I pretty much had a level 60 or 70 Rillaboom and a level 40 something Hatterene. Or something like that. Like I had pretty much a very over-leveled Rillaboom, and my Hatterene was just enough to take on like the 8th gym like trainers. So it's not like one of those things where it's like I can easily take on the 8th gym with just 2 Pokemon. I had Hatterene with me. And by the end, I think, by the time I beat Raihan, I think I needed to use the 3 main Pokemon, I think, on my team. Which were... Well, by the time it would have now have been... which would have been Corviknight, Rillaboom, and Hatterene. Hatterene fainted, which I was very surprised for, but anyway. Hatterene fainted, so I went, okay, I'm going to go with Corvisquire. I know Corvisquire's not going to live, but it doesn't really matter, because I'm just bulking up with my Rillaboom. And I just need to stall and just need to do enough damage with the ones that way, at least when Rillaboom's doing the sweeping, it makes it much easier, kind of thing. And Rillaboom just sweeped everything. And I think this is the part where I needed to, where I knew I needed to change up Rillaboom's move pool, because Rillaboom's move pool is really not that great. So I went, okay, I have an idea of what I need to do. Like, I have an idea of what I need to do. So I ended up changing up Rillaboom's move pool to have... what was it? It was Drum Beating, because that's its signature move. I was really sad of its secondary condition, but it's fine. I think it should have been different, but I'm not going to go into a topic about that. It still kept Bulk Up because Bulk Up was a really good move, so I didn't really think I needed to change it. And then what was the other ones? I gave it Darkest Lariat, and then when I found out that I could end up having... What was the other one? And then when I went to, I think, Winden, I think is the area, I was able to get... Drain Punch, and that was my final move. And I knew I needed Drain Punch specifically because I found out that, like, Rillaboom is better at not slowing down the opponent. Or I think Drum Beating did that specifically all by itself, I think. Is that what it is? Oh, and the second form is called Thwacky. That's why I can remember it. Yeah, it lowered the speed. And I kind of thought that it should have been different. I thought that maybe either lowering the defense or at the very least, at least what it could have done was at least sapped a little bit of a life or something like that. Or prevented the opponent from leaving. Preventing the opponent from leaving would have been a really cool idea too. Now that I'm thinking about it. But still, like, there could have been many other things you could have given it that would have been much, much better. But you know what? I don't really care. I used Drum Beating. I gave it Darkest Lariat specifically because I had the TR for it. I think it's a TR. Yeah, it's a TR. And because I thought that what it did was that... Okay, this is what I thought would happen. Or this is what I thought Darkest Lariat did. If you know exactly how Darkest Lariat works, please explain it to me, because I thought this is exactly how it works. So when your opponent has a +1 physical defense kind of thing, Darkest Lariat ignores it. So if you were to, let's say, ignore, or not ignore, but if you were to lower their physical defense, Darkest Lariat would just not, like, need to ignore it because you've weakened it. And every time I look at information about this, people keep like on I think it was a like a Smogon thing where people are like, no, it even ignores when their defense is lowered. And I went, that better not be the case, because that's kind of weird. Because if you try and lower down the opponent's defense and you Darkest Lariat and it's like, oh, sorry, it doesn't do anything. Well, that's kind of weird. Because then what's the point of lowering their defense? But it was fine. And then I think right before the Elite Four, the final champion tournament thing, pretty much, I went around the wild area pretty much, and I ended up farming enough specifically to get Rillaboom to level 100, and it just went, I'm never gonna need to rely on another Pokemon ever again. Just use Rillaboom and I'll win. And then that's what I did. And that was my first day. I beat all 8 gyms. I could have beaten the Elite Four, or the Winden Stadium thing, but I decided not to, because I wanted to get my Pokemon to level 100. And then by the time I think that day ended, I needed to do something that the next day specifically. So I had to literally, like, not play the game that day. So I didn't even finish, pretty much, until the day after that. Yeah, because I think it was... Yeah, because it was the day after that, because we had that whole thing that the next day. I was just happy that it just turned out that way. It was surprising, because I didn't even take that day off, did I? No, I don't think I did. Which was just funny. But yeah, it was hilarious. Yeah, because I don't think there was anything else, to be fair. that was in the game. And then when you had to fight Eternatus and all that, I was laughing at Hop because Hop did nothing. I was literally laughing because Hop is like trying to do like a little bit of damage. I'm like trying to keep up enough against with the two pretty much like title legendaries. Like I'm keeping up with them. I'm doing half damage of what they're doing, and Hop's just doing like a sliver of damage, and I'm just laughing at Hop, going like, Hop, you're useless pretty much at this point. And this was when I decided to catch every, and I think that was that wasn't the game. It was, I think, Sun and Moon that I went, okay, I'm gonna catch every Pokemon from now on with just Pokeballs, and that's it. And I just stuck with that ever since. Or was it X and Y? I forget which one it was. But I know one of them I just went, okay, you know what? I'm gonna catch every Pokemon with a Pokeball. I don't care how much I rage quit or how much I rage at it. I'm still only gonna catch it with a Pokeball because I find that it's more of a like a bragging right kind of thing. Like, oh, you needed a Dusk Ball with that extra chance of catching it in a cave. I caught it in a Pokeball with no modifiers. And then a friend of mine ended up asking me, like, why don't I just use Premier Balls? They're pretty much identical. And I'm like, but the Pokeball is more iconic, though. Like, people know about the Pokeball. The Premier Ball, everybody's gonna be like, what the heck is a Premier Ball? You mean that thing I've been selling the entire time every time I buy 10 of one specific Pokeball? Like, why'd you catch a Pokemon with that thing? Like, that's pretty much how I look at it, though. Like, I prefer the Pokeball because it's more iconic. People know about it. It's like, ah, yes, the first Pokeball you get a hold of in any Pokemon game. That ball I know. And I remember because I had to reset a bunch of times for Zacian. That was fun. I forget how many times I had to reset. I had to reset a decent chunk of times in order to even catch Zacian. Because for some reason, Zacian didn't want to be captured. And I was really sad because I wanted to know why Zacian didn't want to be captured inside of a Pokeball. But then I discovered that Zacian didn't like me all that much. And Rillaboom didn't really have any status moves. I just went, okay, whatever, just keep throwing balls. And then I discovered that Zacian has 170 in base attack. So that's why my Rillaboom was going down in in 2 hits. And I went, oh, darn. And I went, well, okay, whatever. Or it was shortly thereafter I found out that it had base 170 attack. And I went, so that's why it hit like a truck. And then shortly thereafter, I was able to, the game was able to give you, bonus things kind of thing. Like the Battle Tower and all that. I didn't do the Battle Tower until shortly after you're able to transfer over Pokemon through Pokemon Home, I think. Because I transferred my... I want to say White Kyurem, but pretty much it's the Kyurem I made specifically to become White Kyurem, and the Reshiram that's specifically to become that White Kyurem like that other piece of White Kyurem, and everything else. Then I transferred, I think, a Zekrom and a Kyurem that can be Black Kyurem, a Marshadow that I got as an event. What was the other ones? 2 Necrozmas from 2 different versions. An Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon version. And then a Lunala and Solgaleo from, again, those versions. So Ultra Sun, you got Solgaleo, and Lunala from Ultra Moon kind of thing. Or at least that's how I got them, pretty much. And I can't remember anything else, to be honest. And I think that's pretty much how it was. And then once I discovered you could just do that, I went, oh my god, I'm gonna actually go and end up playing. I'm gonna go through the battle tower. And it's something that I never realized though. If you ever want to go through the battle tower, pretty much just fully train up a Kyurem, specifically to become White Kyurem. Give it a specific moveset. I think I changed mine specifically because like it just works better for me now that I have a set strategy of what I actually do. But before I kind of didn't have a set strategy. I mostly built it for like one-on-one kind of scenarios, but I didn't build it for like team play and for max moves kind of thing. So when I planned for max moves, I just changed one move and it works perfectly. I just lead with White Kyurem and Marshadow. Like I use White Kyurem to target one Pokemon, and then I just use Marshadow to target the other one. Wow, I can't speak today. And then poof, just breaks the game pretty much. They both just start dominating the game, and I just went